They were Hall of Fame coaches, legends of the game, if you will. Warren Olson and Chuck Tabor both passed away in early May, and each man leaves behind a legacy. Chuck Tabor grew up in Kentucky, as anyone who had him as a teacher or baseball coach will remember.
He had that Kentucky accent, and a lot of people tried to imitate or mimic. It was kind of a natural, but I thought he was a real good baseball coach, real good person. Had him in math class. I can remember him looking out the window, looking down on the baseball field down there, and Coach Burke's working on it, and under very watchful eyes.
Tabor taught math and coached baseball at both Robbinsdale and Cooper high schools for 30 years, retiring in 1990. He was also a scout for several Major League ball clubs. The Hall of Fame coach passed away May 8th at the age of 92. 9 years ago, a ceremony took place before a Cooper ball game to honor Tabor and his years of service in the Robbinsdale School District, a tribute Charlie Tabor appreciated.
I go back and the teams that I coached, I think it's one hell of a salute. It's very good, and I appreciate that.
Don Roney played 2 years of varsity ball for Tabor at Robbinsdale High School in the late 1970s. He recalls that Coach had his superstitions.
One day, we're walking through the parking lot to go to the field, and someone saw him reach down and pick up a coin. So we started leaving coins for him. And he was superstitious, being a baseball coach, and he said at the banquet, he said, "Now, I'm not sure who was doing it." He said, "But it took me a full pocket of coins to realize someone was laying them out there for me."
Just a few miles away from Robbinsdale, at Brooklyn Center High School, Warren Olson was following a similar path. An original member of the teaching staff at BC in 1961, Olson retired from coaching football after the 1990 season. His too was a Hall of Fame career and included a state championship in 1982.
Touchdown, nobody's going to catch him.
Olson was 85 years old this year, and like Tabor, passed away on May 8th.
And Harris going deep, he's open. Marcus Harris.
University of Wyoming and CCX Sports Hall of Fame member Marcus Harris played one season for Olson on a great Centaurs team in the fall of 1990.
He's the reason I coach how I do, and not personality-wise, but the schemes. Like, if I'm your offensive coordinator, we're going to pass the ball. And that's what, he just was ahead of the curve on that stuff. And so it was exciting to know him, but more of a coach, but the man he was.
Harris and Coach Olson remained close throughout the years, and the two had a chance to talk in Warren's final days.
Coach Tomerdahl, who recruited me, he's a Minnesota guy. He called me Friday and told me Coach Olson's not in a good spot. And so I got to call Coach, and I didn't know if he'd answer or not, and he answered. And so that meant a lot, just that he took the call. And it was a few seconds, but I said, "Man, you're still sharp. You're still sharp, Coach." And he said, "Yep, just enough to scratch myself."
Olson was part of a dedicated coaching staff at Brooklyn Center. We're all students of the game.
It wasn't only the X's and O's, but he looked at what he had coming through his system. He's got some speed over there, running, and so he knew what was coming.
I usually say coaching's about 10%, but most of it doesn't have anything to do with X's and O's. It's getting people to feel right about one another and wanting to be a group.
Warren Olson and Chuck Tabor knew their respective games well and were integral parts of their program's long-term successes.
The alumni that did play for him still talk about him, to this day, 30 years later for some of them. So he had a huge impact on their lives and the school history.
A private family ceremony for Chuck Tabor was held at Fort Snelling National Cemetery. A service for Warren Olson will be held later this summer.